Welcome back, y'all. This is the Bluechip Breakdown, and I'm your host, Bull. We got a quick one for you today. We're going to be talking about Tennessee's playoff picture. What does Tennessee need to win and lose to make it into the playoffs? And also, can we make it in at 10-2 if we lose to UGA? Y'all, please do us a very big favor. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. All right, y'all. What we're looking at is ESPN's FPI website. This is going to be the ACC. And I like this because it shows that strength of schedule is going to be very important for what teams will ultimately get selected for the college football playoffs. But we'll go through all the major conferences, and I'll tell you what teams I think will make it to the college football playoffs. So starting off right here, as y'all are just paying attention to the strength of schedules and stuff, it's pretty obvious that this is a conference that's pretty weak from top to bottom, okay? Or I would say, yeah, maybe not so much from top to bottom because Miami is good. I mean, they've got some pretty decent teams. I think Miami and Clemson are actually pretty good. But outside of that, I mean, those other teams are not that great. So the four top teams that we're looking at, Miami, Pitt, SMU, and Clemson, they've all got a chance to make it to the college football playoffs because they can all still win this conference, and the conference champion will get a playoff bid. So Miami really has the most realistic chance to make it, even if they don't win their conference championship, because they went down to the Swamp and they beat what's starting to look like a better and better Florida team. So at least they've got one kind of, strong win outside of the conference. None of these other teams can say that. Okay, Pittsburgh is undefeated. Their strength of schedule is 101. That's horrible. They have not played anybody. As soon as they play a team with a pulse, they're going to lose. I think everyone knows that. But, it has not happened yet. But what about SMU? Strength of schedule is 77. They've already lost a ball game. Clemson, strength of schedule is 75th, which is not good either. And they've already lost a ball game to the only good team that they played. So none of the teams outside of Miami really are strong enough to get into the college football playoffs on their own without having won the ACC championship. And I think that all will have to go through Miami. Okay, so if any of those teams beat Miami in the conference championship, I think that two teams will get in from the ACC. Now, I think, again, that they only deserve one, but we'll just say for the sake of this video that two teams will get in from the ACC. Now, let's take a look right here at the Big 12, all right, because their strength of schedule actually is a little bit more consistent, but it's probably equally as bad as what the ACC's is. So, there's not a lot of teams in here that have a chance to make it to the college football playoffs. It would have to be whoever wins their conference title. I think that they only get in one team. So BYU, they're undefeated. Their strength of schedule is 55th. That's not horrible. Iowa State is also undefeated, but their strength of schedule is 86. So that's not as impressive. Again, I think that, whoever ends up winning their conference will go on to the college football playoffs. And that could be Kansas State, who's got a pretty good strength of schedule at 36. Maybe it could also be Colorado if a lot of things kind of fall their way. But at this point, we'll say that only one team makes it in from the Big 12. So we're sitting at a total of 3 at this point. Now let's take a look at the Big 10. And what we're going to see right here with their strength of schedule is it's not great either, but it's better than the previous conferences that we just looked at. So, maybe they can get in one more team than those other conferences. It's just not that much stronger. So anyway, with the Big 10 and with the SEC, you're looking for the teams that can still go 10-2 up to this point in the season. And the Big 10 currently has 5 teams. Now, let's just go ahead and start taking out teams. Number 1, Indiana. They're undefeated, but you see their strength of schedule is 106. And their remaining strength of schedule is 17th. So they're about to play up against some teams that can actually play football, and they're going to end up losing. I don't have them making it to the playoffs at all. They're going to lose 2, maybe 3 more games before it's all said and done. Then you've got Illinois, who has a strength of schedule right now of 13th, and their remaining strength of schedule is 79th. If they lose one more game, then obviously they're going to be out of it. So maybe they could make it in as a potential 4th team, but I've got them losing one more game and not making it. Outside of that, Oregon makes it in. I think actually Oregon is going to be playing Penn State in the conference championship with Penn State winning it. And then I've got Ohio State making it to the college football playoffs at 9-3, losing to Penn State and also to Michigan. They've got a whole lot of problems this season. They can't run the football well. They can't stop the run that well. If you can't do that in the Big Ten, then, you've got some very serious problems. But then also, if you think about it, in the actual playoffs, man, I think teams are going to have a field day playing up against Ohio State. But I have 3 teams total making it from the Big Ten. So right now we're up to 6 teams. I also have Notre Dame making it and that group of 5 team, whoever that ends up being. So we have a total of 8 teams up to this point. Let's look at the SEC. The first thing that y'all will notice is the difference in the strength of schedule. The weakest strength of schedule is going to be 44th, which goes to Texas, but we don't have any team that's in the 50s or in the hundreds or any of that type of stuff. So very strong from that perspective. Also, like we talked about with the Big Ten, how many teams do you have inside of your conference that can go 10-2? The Big Ten had 5, the SEC has 8. Having 8 teams that could still go 10-2 with these sorts of strength of schedules lets you know just how much better this conference is than everybody else. And we do deserve at least 4 teams in the college football playoffs. But as Tennessee fans, what we're going to be looking at is, some of the head-to-head matchups and things like that. So just to kind of simplify things, let's focus on the top 4 teams that we're seeing right now. So that's going to be Georgia, A&M, Tennessee, and Texas. The reason that we're focusing on them is because all those teams only have 1 loss throughout the entire season. Now, all those losses will be SEC losses except for A&M. That's what's going to make them a little bit different, is that they might be able to somehow lose 2 SEC games and maybe still make it to the SEC championship, just kind of based off of how other things play out. So A&M is sitting in the best spot in the SEC. But the other thing that y'all will notice is going to be that Georgia plays Tennessee, and then A&M is going to be playing Texas. The winner of those 2 games will probably go on to the SEC championship and automatically make it to the college football playoff. Now, outside of that, I think as Tennessee fans, we have to look at individual matchups. So let's just say if Georgia and Texas are the top 2 teams right now, and we think that the top 4 will make it to the college football playoffs, who's going to get that 3rd spot? Is it going to be us or is it going to be Texas? You got to look at the strength of schedule. Texas has a strength of schedule of 44th, and Tennessee has a strength of schedule of 32nd. So Tennessee would get in over Texas. Now, let's just say for some reason that Tennessee was fighting for that 4th spot, and we're going up against maybe LSU or Alabama. So LSU and Alabama are about to play in the next couple of weeks. That's going to be a huge game. And, I've heard a lot of people kind of go back and forth on who you want to win this game as a Tennessee fan. I think that the best case scenario would be if LSU beats Alabama and puts Alabama out, and then LSU goes on to lose to somebody else, maybe like a Florida or Florida. That would be the most ideal for us because that makes our strength of schedule look even better if that does happen. So, that would pretty much be like a shoe-in for us. But now let's just say if LSU beats Alabama, but LSU wins out, that's going to be a problem because now we're talking about LSU versus a Tennessee team that has lost to Georgia. The strength of schedule difference, I mean, you already see that LSU's got a very strong strength of schedule. They're going to get in over Tennessee. So that would be a big, big problem. But then on the flip side of it, what if Alabama goes on to beat LSU? Well, Tennessee did beat Alabama head-to-head, but again, you got to look at the strength of schedule. And Alabama's sitting at 5th currently. It's going to look a little bit different towards the end of all this stuff. But if we're doing it today, then I think that they would get in, especially being that they beat Georgia and we lost to them. Now, same thing that we kind of said about LSU, Alabama could, go on to win that game and then, I don't know how, but maybe lose to somebody else. I mean, like maybe Auburn pulls a rabbit out the hat or something. I don't think that would happen. So as Tennessee fans, it would make the most sense to try to cheer for LSU to beat Alabama because there's a much higher likelihood that Brian Kelly's going to do what he always does and finds a way to kind of blow it. And then you look at LSU's remaining strength of schedule, it's still pretty strong. So I think that that's what we need to be rooting for first and foremost. Outside of that, we could take a look at Mizzou, who, I mean, even if they go undefeated, I don't know if their strength of schedule is going to be strong enough for them to get in, not inside of this conference, you know what I mean? Just because right now their strength of schedule, it says that it's 16th, but their remaining strength of schedule is 50th. So I think that that's going to balance out pretty significantly once it's all said and done. But yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to end up losing to somebody anyway. I mean, it kind of just feels like they're starting to pack things in. Brady Cook, I don't know how hurt he is, but if he can't play, and if he can't play at a very high level, then they're going to lose at least one more ball game. So almost look at Mizzou as kind of like a non-factor. But then you've got Ole Miss, and if Ole Miss wins out, then Ole Miss would end up getting in over Tennessee. Again, this is if Tennessee is at that 4th spot. But, there is a situation where maybe Ole Miss can go on to beat Georgia and then lose to Florida. That would be great for us just because, I think that we would still get in up to that point. Just like looking at the strength of schedules and all that type of stuff, I think that we would get the edge over Ole Miss. But really, y'all, the best thing for Tennessee to do is going to be just to win out. Like, we pretty much have to handle business. But if Alabama beats LSU, we absolutely have got to beat Georgia. I don't know if we could get in if that happens. It really, I mean, shoot, even if LSU beats Alabama and they don't lose again, I don't know if Tennessee has a realistic shot. That's probably the most likely thing. Ole Miss, I could see them losing to Georgia. That's probably what's going to happen. Like we said about, Mizzou, they're probably going to lose too. But Alabama and LSU are kind of holding all the cards for Tennessee at this point. Now, something else that could happen, I mean, obviously there's a million different things that could happen, but Texas could lose a couple of games. I'm not overly impressed with them. I'm really not. And they've got a couple of teams that I think could present some problems. Arkansas is one. They've got Florida. Florida could definitely beat them. And obviously they've got A&M. So they're starting to get to more of a gauntlet inside of their schedule. So that actually might be the most likely out of all these things. Hopefully I kind of cleared up some of the situations for you. I know I said a whole lot right there, but the biggest thing is Tennessee could still get in at 10-2. It's just going to take, some help. We're going to need for LSU and Alabama to at least lose one game for us to still make it in if that does happen. But that's going to be it for this. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks. Peace.